reading that comes from the Gospel of Marc. James and John, the sons of Zebedee, came forward to Jesus and said to him, "Teacher, we want you to do for us whatever we ask of you." And he said to them, "What is it you want me to do for you?" And they said to him, "Grant us to sit, one on your right hand and one on your left in your glory." But Jesus said to them, "You don't know what you're asking. Are you able to drink the cup that I drink, or be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with?" And they replied, "We are able." Then Jesus said to them, "The cup that I drink you will drink, and with the baptism which I am baptized you will be baptized. But to sit at my right hand or at my left is not mine to grant, but is for those for whom it has been prepared." When the 10 heard this, they began to be angry with James and John. So Jesus called them and said to them, "You know that among the Gentiles, those whom they recognize as their rulers lord it over them, and their great ones are tyrants over them. But it's not so among you. But whoever wishes to become great among you must be servant, and whoever wishes to be first among you must be servant of all. For the Holy One came, the human one came, not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many." This is a word from God for the people of God.
Thanks be to God.
When you were a kid, some of you, a kid in my particular era, long ago, did you ever run to the car trying to yell shotgun first so that you could sit in the front seat?
Well,
Well, there were 5 of us kids in my family, so we were rather cutthroat about which one of us yelled it out first so that we could get dibs on the prized seat. Kids know about power, and they're watching us. Is power in the front seat of the car, at the front table at the banquet, beside the altar table, or in a seat in the Senate? Where you sit matters, always has. Was it at the back of the bus? In the balcony of the theater? In the back of the synagogue? At Circle, we sit in a circle around the table. The chairs speak without saying a word. The sons of Zebedee, James and John, knew the importance of seating arrangements. These sons of thunder wanted to know if they could sit by Jesus, their powerful leader. When all was said and done, the campaign was over and the election results were in, one on the left and one on the right. And when Jesus said to them that they had no idea what they were asking, maybe he was also saying he had no idea that they hadn't gotten the message yet.
My goodness.
It was the 3rd time that Jesus said that they were heading into trouble. Not only trouble, but death. His words, "The cup I drink, you will drink. The baptism I have, you will also have." It was Jesus saying once again, by saying it directly as well as in parables in his teachings, in this movement, we're about serving, and it's going to be costly. Jesus had already demonstrated his type of power in blessing people who were considered powerless. His power was praised in some circles and attacked in others. You'd think that James and John would have already understood that very clearly. They left their fishing nets to follow him. Not exactly the most visible people of power in the region. Surely there was something, though, about Jesus' life and witness that compelled these 2 brothers. Something about his power within him. Power is something we want to get close to, hoping it's contagious and it'll rub off on us. Even with all the bad examples we have around us, power has the ability to change things for the good. We know the power of just and authentic leaders and want to have a whole lot more of them. The other 10 disciples were angry with these two brothers. Were they angry because they hadn't thought of the idea first? Or were they angry because they thought the brothers had missed Jesus' message? Or were they angry because it just feels so good and so powerful to be the ones who are right? Yet was the ask of James and John a sign that they had complete confidence in Jesus' power and leadership. Jesus used it as another teachable moment and said something like this: we're on a tough journey. The tyrants are strong, and they are crushing the very people who we long to liberate. This moment is making things very, very clear about our calling. The differences couldn't be more evident. We want power. The domination systems want power. Our power is in the service of God's system of love and liberation. Our power is to demonstrate the power of God to everyone and to overcome fear with love. We're not here to be served, but to serve. Are you able? What do we need to be able to say without hesitation, yes, we're able? A key verse that may help us understand this teaching is in a couple verses before this story. It says that the disciples were on the road going to Jerusalem, and Jesus was walking ahead of them. They were amazed, and those who followed were afraid. James and John and the other disciples were afraid. We know about this. So let's just take a moment to name some of our fears. I'll start. I'm afraid for our children and youth. What about you?
Afraid for our country.
Afraid for our country, yes.
For our planet.
Yes.
For women.
Pardon?
For women.
For women, yes.
For migrant people.
Yes. People who can't afford health care, yes.
For those on the other end of drones and our massive military.
Those on the other end of drones, yes.
People in pain.
People in pain.
People who are consumed by hatred.
Yes, people consumed by hatred.
People who are overwhelmed.
Complicity.
Complicity and complacency.
Justice.
For the children today. The kids today.
Yes.
For people who bear false witness.
Yes.
Young people who think the military is their best option for a future and a hope.
Or a culture of bullying.
Yes. It is very important for us to name our fears. And now, if we can sit with that fear for just a little bit, maybe we can step alongside the disciples in what they were experiencing. Real fears, not made up ones. True fears. maybe James and John were asking about their place because it was born out of their anxiety and fear about what was going to happen to all of them. Heading to Jerusalem meant heading fully into their campaign with their candidate Jesus. Would they be able to engage the people with a power that could overturn those corrupt powers of leadership? The election was upon them. They were heading straight into the confrontations. Jerusalem, my friends, is the place where the powers are clearly revealed. It's a place where our lot that in our lives that we'd rather avoid. Jerusalem is a place where our longings are as exposed as our disappointments. It's a place where our despair can match our hope. It's where people don't act right. And the religious and political powers are fierce. It's where our fears and our failures can jump out and scare us into conflict, not just with those kind of powers, but even with our own people in the movement, because we are afraid. Jerusalem is where we go to die to those kind of fears and our tiny stories of what success looks like. It's a place to die to old habits and old resentments and old excuses. It's where we're invited to let go of those shriveled up stories of if only and live into God's story of I'm with you. I am your strength. Jerusalem is a place we spend energy avoiding, even though it is the exact place that can bring us new life and hope. It's where we go to discover our deepest trust and our greatest power that no earthly power can unseat. It's our place to practice the best kind of inner freedom. Maybe James and John were living out of the story that our sacrifices will pay off. Maybe they wanted the same thing we want. Some kind of confidence that the cost is worth the price. And some measure of glory and goodness can be assured. We want some sign of our effectiveness. And Jesus didn't give his disciples that kind of assurance. He didn't overthrow the tyrannical powers of the Roman government or the religious establishment. He died on a cross with convicted thieves on the right and on the left of him. But we know the whole story. Such a death was not the end. God's power of new life rose up in a people of power to serve and to hope and to do justice and to offer a grace that would not let us go. When I was in Cuba, I had many translators. I told them that I could use them for my sermons, even in my congregation who understands English. I needed someone standing next to me as an interpreter. What she's really trying to say is, now several times I walked the streets of Matanzas without a translator. I loved walking around and seeing all the beautiful buildings and the construction that was happening for their 325th anniversary of the founding of that city. And I always made sure that I walked along the river each time. I headed down a street where I could see the river at the bottom of the hill. And an elderly woman, even older than I, ran up to me, waving her arms and speaking loudly. I had no idea what she was saying. So I said, "No entiendo." I don't understand. That didn't stop her one bit. She slipped her arm into mine and walked me down the street, speaking the whole time. And when we arrived at the river walk, She pointed to the right at all the construction and shook her head. Then she pointed to the left at all the construction and she shook her head. Then she said something else, gave me a kiss on the cheek, and walked back up the hill. I understood. There was danger to the right, and there was danger to the left. Grandmothers in every language know how to communicate. Be careful. She was the feminine face of God to me. Kind, feisty, strong, and not always able to decipher exactly what is being said. I took a careful walk to the left, walking around piles of nails and stepping on planks across broken sidewalk. And I felt an uncommon sense of being watched over, placed in me by a stranger who served in care for another. It was the power of kindness and connectedness, where we're in this life together. We got to be careful, warn each other, help each other. And as I walked, there was an uncommon sense of goodness and mercy following me in that dangerous place. And the river, it stayed by my side, within sight, flowing with such power. Beloveds, there is danger on either side of us.
Well,
There is risk. Other powers want to take hold of us. Don't be afraid. We are able. Those other powers don't have hold of us. We know the one. God is giving us all the power we need to make this journey of love and liberation together.
amen.